Welcome to AMOI Unplugged. Hi, I'm Chioma Ikejiani. In this program, we'll be showing you what concrete steps have been taken to diversify and reposition the Nigerian economy. You'll see and hear firsthand the words of the key drivers in this process. This is the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the organization in charge of collecting taxes on behalf of the federal government. And I'll be speaking with the chairman and the CEO, Tunde Fowler. He'll be telling us what's the connection between diversifying the economy and collecting taxes. Don't change that dial. We'll be right back with AMOI Unplugged, exploring diversity.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office. You can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government covers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Now, when you came in, I remember you said your focus was going to be on revenue generation. How well have you fared on that?
The most important aspect of any organization basically are the staff. But in coming into FIRS and seeing the oil revenue dwindle so rapidly, we also looked at changing the vision and focus of staff while increasing their capacity, but at the same time not allowing the revenue to fall. So basically, I told staff that my job here is not to sack anyone, it's for us to work together, make sure that we can gather as much revenue as possible to ensure that we can support government. So in building capacity, we also did not overlook the importance of revenue. And we focused on three main areas. We focused on VAT, which is the highest growing tax in Africa and the world in general. We focused on CIT and PPT. Now, although the oil price had dropped, taxes had dropped in that area, we also noticed that there were some arrears, outstanding taxes that were due from the petroleum sector. So we made sure that we got those in also. And as of December 2017, we're also able to hit about 972 billion in VAT. It was equally about an 8% increase over 2016.
Now, you know, what is really interesting is that I know that this is even beyond the expectations. How did you collaborate with the State Board Inland Revenue in actualizing some of this milestone?
Well, I think that was, I won't say easy, but being a former state chairman, I was also a member of the Joint Tax Board. And before I assumed the position of chairman of the Joint Tax Board, because the chairman of the FIRS is the chairman of the Joint Tax Board, there was some levels of distrust between the states and the federal. And I think some state chairmen believed or thought that the FIRS wanted to take over their responsibilities. So we first of all calmed their nerves, let them understand, listen, that if we have an efficient, effective system at the center, which is the federal government, and states cannot benefit or are not as efficient, then we really can't say we have an effective, efficient tax system in Nigeria. So we looked at our strengths, our weaknesses, and the first thing we said we'll do is that we will grow our tax net. And the first step that I did to show an open hand and transparency was to give them a tax database to all states.
And what did that accomplish?
Now, basically, if I had a taxpayer who was paying me taxes and he was not paying taxes at the state level, that means they were out of the tax net for the state. And then the states also responded by giving me all their taxpayers. So overnight, within a period of about maybe 60 days, we were able to increase our own tax base by about 200,000. Some states increased theirs by 50,000. So all taxpayers at the state level were captured at the federal level, and all taxpayers at the federal level were also captured at the state level. Then we looked at issues where we could have joint responsibility, tax audit.
Of course.
So instead of 36 states going to audit a company, and FIRS also going later on for federal tax, we could combine together and have them audited by one select group, and any taxes that were due to the state will be paid to the state, and taxes due to the federal will be paid to federal. So we eventually signed an MOU between the FIRS and all the state internal revenue services. So we do have a booklet that highlights our level of cooperation.
I know you've always stressed transparency, and one of the ways that you've done this is some of the initiatives that you've introduced, like computer and technology. Walk me through how you've been able to use that to enhance part of your mandate at FIRS.
Well, first of all, let me put it this way. If you're going to grow a revenue agency or service, you need technology. There are no two ways about it. And what taxpayers want to know and be assured of is that their revenue or their tax payments go to the right place. And one issue that clearly states that is when you have an official receipt. So we've deployed certain technology to all taxpayers. So now, if you give us your email address and you make a payment, or any payment is made on your tax ID.
Online
Or directly to the bank, you get an email that tells you that this payment has been received on your behalf, and you can download your own receipt. You can also confirm that receipt with a smartphone. So it's a very simple process.
Excellent. You know, when you took over in 2015, the oil prices was dwindling. And one of the things that I want to ask you is, how is what is the relationship between tax collection and diversifying the economy? And do you really feel that tax is where it's at right now in Africa, specifically in Nigeria?
Well, let me first of all take the point of view in Africa. The AU gave all revenue agencies a mandate, and I'll call it commission, if I can use that word, that we should ensure that we can fund our respective governments through taxes. The age of grants and aid are over. And if you listen to the American president, Donald Trump, he said it in very clear terms that we cannot fund other countries, that is America first. And it's a fair comment. So basically we are in a situation whereby we know that we have to fund our respective countries through taxes.
From your perspective, have you found it difficult persuading Nigerians to pay tax?
It's better now. Initially, Nigerians would say, what has government done for me? So why should I pay any taxes? But there's also the aspect of law. You vote your leaders into office. The law says you have to pay your taxes. And we are the operators or the administrators to ensure that the laws are followed. And what we do is that we engage taxpayers, let them know what government is doing, because sometimes government does not really demonstrate all the different things that they're doing. Now at the federal level, just turn on your TV, you can see what the federal government is doing. We also encourage the state governments to do the same. So anytime we have a joint tax board meeting, we go around, look at the projects that they're undertaking, and we let not only people in the states know, we let other states in the nation know. We were in Sokoto for the last Joint Tax Board meeting. We went around, we saw what the government was doing in the area of education. They literally had built some, what I'll call international standard classroom blocks for the needy, the less privileged. So people can see where the tax money is going. The same thing, we went to Kwara State. We saw what government was doing with the tax revenue. We went also to Akwa Ibom. We saw the medical facilities that government had just commissioned. So as people see what government is doing with the tax revenue, they're more encouraged to pay their taxes, regardless of how small it is.
Now, 2016 has probably been termed as the building block, the foundation of your vision. What were some of the measures or incentives that you were able to mandate in terms of getting more people to register?
Well, we made it easier. The registration form used to have 133 fields to fill. We cut that down to about 30. We made it a one-page form. We went out, we set up a new unit called FIRS, which are the Federal Enlightenment and Engagement Tax Teams, and they went around to taxpayers. So at the same time, when we're registering corporate accounts, we'd also register individuals on behalf of the state. So we made it very convenient, very easy for taxpayers to be registered. And we let them know that we're part of society, that we're not the enemy, we're not on opposing side, that we're there to service or provide a service for them. And I think most taxpayers have keyed into that.
Now, there's still others that find it very difficult to still pay that tax, right? They think it's business as usual. As the chairman of the service, what are the consequences for those businesses and individuals that refuse to register and pay their taxes? I mean, can we jail individuals? Can we garnish their wages?
Well, let me try and divide it into different sections. First of all, for companies, organizations that don't pay their taxes, after we have established an assessment, made a demand notice on them, given them the right of objection, and they still refuse to pay, then we'll give them a notification that we will take other legal actions against them. The first step is for us to distrain them, which means we'll stop them from operating. We'll seal off their offices. If after a certain time they still refuse to pay, then we have what you call the right of substitution. We'll put a lien on their bank accounts.
Oh, you can do that?
Yes, by law we can do that. And if we find out that they have been involved in any illegal or falsification of their records, we can take them to court, or we sometimes have a partnership with the EFCC and ICPC. Yeah, the agencies that are involved in economic sabotage.
Wow. So you take them to book. One thing that have come up, because I've asked people what kind of questions would you ask the chairman, and the issue of double taxation. What are your thoughts on this? There are people that say that they're being doubly taxed.
By law, it shouldn't happen. And if we see any situation whereby it might have happened or has a potential possibility of happening, we'll ensure that no taxpayer pays more taxes than is due. For example, in the Joint Tax Board, you'll find out that some individuals have tax clearances from 2 states. They have businesses in more than 1 state, and they find it easier sometimes to pay tax in 1 state over the other. But basically, they should just pay their taxes in 1 state. That tax clearance certificate will cover you anywhere you go in Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay. I'm aware that FIRS has a program called the Tax Amnesty Program, and when that ended, you came up with a collaborative tax program. Can you tell me about this, the Volunteer Assets and Declaration?
Well, basically, that is a program that was given life to through the Federal Ministry of Finance, because by the Constitution, the federal government, the state government, and the local government have got different taxing authorities. So for us to have this joint program, there had to be an objective, independent agency of government, which happened to be the Minister of Finance, who sold the idea to the Executive Council. We had discussions with other stakeholders in the Senate and the House of Representatives, and the whole idea was to give an amnesty for individuals and corporate accounts, for those who have not paid their taxes to come forth voluntarily.
And that's for all Nigerians, including diasporans?
Yes, all Nigerians, corporate account holders, individuals who had not declared, or even if they had not declared all, to come forward, and they'll not be prosecuted, they'll not pay any interest, they'll not pay any penalty for a 6-year period. And they also have the right to enter an agreement with the taxing authority now, either at the state level or the federal level, for a maximum of 36 months to pay any outstanding taxes.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, administers all federal tax laws listed in the FIRS Establishment Act 2007. Along with other agencies of government, FIRS is working towards the provision of sustainable revenue for national development. Between 2016 and 2017, the service introduced initiatives to enhance compliance, prompt payment of taxes by ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, corporates and other taxpayers as follows. Developed and deployed 6 ease solutions to make tax payment convenient, as easy as ABC 247, anytime, anywhere, all the time. Implemented a tax amnesty program which waived interest and penalty of defaulting taxpayers. The service has collected a sum of 35.82 billion naira, while installmental payment of established liabilities of the sum of 58.2 billion naira is ongoing. Collaborated with other government agencies such as Corporate Affairs Commission, Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Customs Services, Accountant General's Office, and the Joint Tax Board, JTB, to register 814,000 new corporate taxpayers by end of 2016. Some states like Kano registered about 900,000 new taxpayers, bringing the Nigerian national tax roll to about 14 million in 2016. By 2017, the Nigerian national tax roll was about 17 million. Strengthened the tax audit function. FIRS recovered over 35.65 billion naira in tax debts. Co-introduced the automatic collection of taxes at source from ministries, departments and agencies through GIFMIS, Government Integrated Financial Information Management System, with the Accountant General's Office. A similar handshake with states is ongoing for the collection of VAT, value-added tax and withholding tax. Auto collection of VAT in the aviation sector is being extended to other key sectors like telecoms, power and hospitality sectors. FIRS allowed taxpayers to file their tax returns at the FIRS offices closest to them. This ensured that taxpayers file their company's income tax, CIT, value-added tax, VAT, and withholding tax, WHT returns at the FIRS tax office nearest to their places of business or choice of location. The service also contributed to the upward movement of Nigeria in the World Bank 2018 Ease of Doing Business ranking. Nigeria moved up 11 places in terms of global ranking of ease of paying taxes. Nigeria also progressed 24 places from 169th to 124th in the 2018 World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking. In 2016, FIRS collected a total of 3.3 trillion naira. In 2017, FIRS overshot this by about 22% when it collected 4.03 trillion naira, even with crude oil at an average of $50 per barrel. The 2017 collection is 82.32% of the target set by the federal government. FIRS collaborated with the Federal Ministry of Finance and state governments to launch the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, VAIDS. VAIDS is designed to encourage voluntary disclosure of previously undisclosed assets and income for the purpose of payment of all outstanding tax liabilities. FIRS is enlightening and engaging taxpayers nationwide through a robust taxpayers education program. It set up the Federal Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, FEET, and is running a robust public education program in 5 languages on radio and television. This has impacted on the increase of registered taxpayers so far. Also, service delivery to taxpayers has improved. Along with efforts of state internal revenue services, Nigeria's national tax roll increased from 14 million in 2014 to about 17 million by December of 2017. Among other awards, the African Tax Administration's Forum, ATAF, adjudged FIRS online stamp duty portal as the best innovation in tax administration on the whole of the African continent in 2016. Long before tax administrators beckoned on him to lead the Continental Association of Tax Administrations, ATAF. Last year, the United Nations named Fowler as one of the 25 global tax experts. Fowler is the Global Taxpayers Experts' first vice chairman.
Looking back, 2016, 2017, what was the biggest challenge for you?
I think deploying consultants who would help us with technology innovations. Like, for example, we have what we call VAT Collect. And basically, it's a system whereby people in the aviation sector, manufacturing, can just have the VAT remitted online. We also deployed the same system to all state governments free of charge. We give them systems, computers, and the technology to remit withholding tax, VAT, and other federal taxes as they incur them. So basically, it was getting people to embrace this technology and use it.
Now, looking at 2017, if you were to look back and say, what would be the one thing that you wish that you could have done better?
The one thing I wish I could have done better, I think, was to have a more interactive session with the state governments. We've received a lot of support from the chairman of the governors, which is His Excellency Yari, the governor of Zamfara. We've also received support from the chairman of the commissioners of finance. But we got more results towards the tail end of 2017.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think it happened at the tail end as opposed to, do you think that they were getting, or they saw the results and then they decided to really key in?
Well, I think they eventually saw the importance of everyone chipping in, both at the state and federal levels. They saw the increased awareness for the payment of tax, and they also had to see the consequences of not being tax compliant. And that's why it dragged on until the last quarter of the year.
Give me some concrete deliverables. You closed your books in 2017.
Yes.
Can you share with us what the numbers were?
4 trillion and 27 billion.
4
trillion.
4 trillion.
Yeah, so it was up from about 3.3 trillion in 2016.
And what are your expectations for 2018?
It should be in the region of about maybe 6 trillion.
6 trillion.
Yes,
For 2018.
that's right.
Thank you so much. I know you've got a hectic schedule, and I want to take more of your time, but they're telling me it's time out. And I want to thank you for inspiring and believing in me. Thank you for this opportunity.